Joining us now to discuss is John Paradise from Town and Country Federal Credit Union. John, thanks for coming in today.
Always a pleasure.
So let's start with how home values have skyrocketed.
Home values have skyrocketed.
Yeah.
Of course, that impacts how much you're able to borrow, how much you borrow for a home, and of course that impacts your overall financial situation and your debt. That being said, the reality is people are still buying homes. You just need to be really careful about it, and you need to take care of that. You know, we've talked about it many times, the credit score. The credit score and credit have a big impact on how much you can borrow, what the rate that you borrow at is, and of course you want to have that as low as possible. So I think the biggest thing you need to look at when you're considering a mortgage is your debt to income ratio. And what that means is if you're making $200,000 and you have a debt of $5,000 a month that you have to pay, that's a really good debt to income ratio, 30%. Conversely, if you have that same $200,000 and you have, let's say, $9,000 in monthly expenses, that puts it over 50%. What that means, Megan, is it's going to impact how much you can borrow, who's going to lend you money, and all those types of factors. So again, very, very important to consider when you're taking out a mortgage.
And when you're talking debt to income ratio, that is what kind of determines your credit score?
That has a big impact on your credit score and has a big impact on how much you're able to borrow, because what it is you're considered a higher risk, so your rate's going to be higher if you have a higher debt to income score. So of course you want to keep that as low as possible. It factors into your credit score overall.
Yeah, definitely something to keep in mind as home prices are so high these days.
Absolutely. All things to consider. You know, house is a great investment, but you don't want to be house poor, and you know, you want to make sure you're in the house that you can afford and your finances can afford. As you know, once you buy a house, you bought a whole lot more other things. So all things to consider. Have a conversation, talk to people, and make sure you're in that financial position to get the best possible rate and mortgage that you can get.
All right, John Paradise from Town and Country Federal Credit Union, thanks so much for coming in today.
Always fun. Thank you.